world has a lot of problems and a lot of potential solutions, but what if there was one solution that could fix a lot of these problems? Appropriate organic farming techniques and properly planned grazing can reverse climate change. That's right. I've farmed my whole life. I grew up farming, and it was just in these last 2 years that I realized this. My journey began in Hillsdale, New York, at Earthborn, with my mother and father. They tried hard to get away from society, and they succeeded. And they brought me up, essentially in the woods, but I loved it. I grew up with a keen awareness of energy, life, death, decomposition, and regeneration back to life. I was blessed, especially in this new world where everything's about technology and everything's fast. So, what I did next was I went to college early and I started my own farm. It too was called Earthborn. Earthborn 2. Then I did a lot more. I went and managed my father's farm. And I went to Maine. And while I was at my father's farm, I would still work in Haiti sometimes in the winters. Haiti taught me a lot. But what really taught me the most about why farming is important and how you can think you're doing what's right and it might not be was Maine. In Maine, I grew organic salad greens. They were organic because there were no chemicals, no pesticides, and no synthetic fertilizers. But organic means carbon. Organic farming is about putting carbon in the soil, and that carbon comes from the air. But when I grew these salad greens, I used too much equipment, and I took a lot of carbon out of the soil and put it back in the air as carbon dioxide. This is the crucial thing that I hope you can all understand today, is that we emit carbon dioxide in many more ways than just out of our exhaust pipes, out of coal plants, out of factories. We emit potentially more from our soils and by cutting down trees. Carbon is the skeleton of what's under our feet. And we've been taking that skeleton out of the ground bone by bone and putting it in the atmosphere. So, after being in Maine, I got really tired. And I sold the label, and I went to the Dominican Republic, where I was supposed to take over Horizontes Orgánicos, which is a biodynamic export company and farm that grows bananas, mangoes, exported coffee, and we had cows. When I got there, it was totally different from what I'd done in Maine. We rarely tilled the soil, except this once where we planted new bananas. There were bananas in that field for 15 years beforehand, and for all 15 years, those bananas were photosynthesizing. Photosynthesis is another word for carbon sequestration, in my opinion. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants breathe in carbon dioxide. They keep the carbon, and they breathe the oxygen back out. The carbon then becomes the stalk of the plant, the leaves, the roots, and the extra carbon goes out of the roots into the soil, and in a proper farming system, it stays there. So if you can think of the Earth's surface and all the bare spots on it that don't have plants, it's a great opportunity to plant it, make it green, and sequester carbon dioxide. We do farm 40% of the Earth's surface, after all. After the Dominican Republic, I went to college, and then my friend's cousin became the president of Haiti, so I dropped out. School was never for me. So I went to Haiti, and I got hired to try to redig irrigation canals on plains that were desertifying right outside of Port-au-Prince, and start to think, how would we bring these plains back into agricultural production? It was exhilarating work. It was dangerous, too, because to get anything done, you had to tell who was funding you, who was corrupt right on your left or right side. Then you had to go back and see him the next day. Anyhow, this was fun, but it got cut short by a horrible tragedy where my sister was killed, and I came home for good. Back home, I was helping my father manage his farm, and I was talking to a friend one day, and I said, I'm in transition. He said, well, no shit, we are too. My family owns 2,200 acres in Columbia County, and we want to make it organic. Would you come talk to them? And I said, sure. So as things go, I ended up at Stonehouse Farm, a 2,200 acre farm in Livingston, New York. And we are transitioning this farm completely to organic. No more chemicals, no more pesticides, no more herbicides. And furthermore, we're really making it organic. We're taking carbon dioxide from the air and putting it in the soil. This is what we're doing now. We grow cover crops. After a crop is harvested, we plant the field again with crops that'll live through the winter. They're green. They stay green all winter. The soil's never bare, and we photosynthesize all year long. We bring carbon out of the air and put it in the soil. And incidentally, having more carbon in the soil gives a better home for all the microbes in the soil to live in. They then can make more nitrogen available to plants naturally. That's right, nitrogen, that $40 billion industry that they pollute a lot to make, and that's ruining our oceans with runoff. That can be made naturally with bacteria under our feet while we're sequestering carbon dioxide. So you can see one solution can start to solve a lot of problems. What we're doing now is we're looking at ways of how to grow major commodity crops without chemicals, without pesticides, and come close to conventional production targets while sequestering carbon dioxide. In this system, we grow a cover crop, and then we roll it down with that red machine. It's called a roller crimper. That way, we don't have to plow the soil. We don't have to expose the carbon in the soil to the air. We have to time when we kill the cover crop with a roller crimper. We then plant right through it. It dies off as a mulch, and you see the soybeans coming up? Then the soybeans get bigger. And then they turn into that. There aren't many weeds, are there? All that cover crop is holding the weeds down. And it's protecting the soil. It's holding water in the soil, too. Water is a fundamental thing we hear about all the time as well. So this is soybeans. They're a little dubious, I know. I don't eat soybeans. But it is a major staple crop, and we need to find ways to cover our agricultural surfaces in the world where we are growing staple crops in a way that makes farmers more money and breathes carbon out of the air. The Earth's surface itself and how we interact with it is our greatest opportunity to reverse climate change. Look at this. That's a field with no cover crop. Doesn't look too good, does it? There's a field with no cover crop. There's one, and this side of it does have cover crop. That's breathing carbon in. That's letting carbon out. That's putting nitrogen in the ground. That's not. This was going to organic. This we got planted earlier, just to give you some context. This cover crop alone, in 1 year, this one actually, increased our soil organic matter by 0.7%. To put that into terms, 1 acre with that increase means we sequestered 15 tons of carbon dioxide in 1 acre. On this whole field, 750 tons of carbon dioxide in 1 year. Now, think about 1 billion acres of cropland around the world that we could be doing this on. We do all that, we might not have enough carbon dioxide left in the air to keep everything alive, so we got to watch out. Anyhow, my journey has been really blessed. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to say that I'm making Columbia County my home, and I hope that you all can sincerely understand the point that I'm trying to make. That this one solution I'm talking about can make more money for farmers, produce the food we need, and treat the earth in such a way where we can hold more water in it, we can sequester our carbon dioxide, we can reinvigorate local economies by taking corporate suppliers of chemicals, too much equipment, and herbicides off the table, and keep that money local, where we can trade seeds, we can trade manure, we can sell crops locally to bakers who need it, to local farms who want food with no GMOs in it. This is what can be done. This is what we're doing. We're doing it right here in Columbia County. I'm Ben Dobson. I'm dedicating my life to these solutions, and I'd like to thank you all for coming today.